to get started, the first thing you want to do is prep your sign. Because you're going to be using glues, you're going to want to make sure that you have enough time to let your sign dry completely. So when you have your signs, you need to pay attention. This set to the size of the sign. So this one I mentioned was from Dollar Tree, so you can see it's very thin. Usually on my signs, I can use a 1/4 inch staple. Let me actually show you the difference real quick. All right, so here is a wreath sign that is not from Dollar Tree. So you can see the difference of thickness on them. So for the thicker signs, you're gonna be able to just use staples and hot glue on these. I am gonna be making videos with some Christmas content coming soon. But for today, I'm gonna show you how to attach mounts onto your sign if you're unable to staple into them. So I had to do this in advance because, like I said, you have to allow enough time for your sign to dry. But all you do is you use these mounts. Here, if you want to screenshot them. And all you do is you peel off. They have a sticker on the back. I'm not going to peel it because I don't want to use it right now. But you peel off the sticker. And then for this sign, I wanted to use 4 because it's kind of big. And I just stuck it on there and I held it for like 3 to 5 seconds. I mean, I'm not sure how long you're supposed to hold it, but I just hold it for 5 seconds because it makes me feel better. And then after you do that, I actually like to go in with 2 types of glue. I don't mix the glues. I put them on different sides of the sign. So this is the super glue that I use. This one's really good. And I just put it on 2 sides. And then on the other 2 sides that I did not put the super glue on, I actually put hot glue on those other sides. And then I let those dry completely. And then you will be able, once you let it dry, you will be able to attach. I use Chanel stems, but you could use floral wire as well. I just have a really hard time using floral wire on my signs. I can't seem to grip it very well, so I just prefer to use these. So once it's all ready and dry, all you're gonna do is just slip your Chanel stem into the holes there, just like that. And then I just do halfway. That's usually enough space for me to reach down onto my frame. And then you just give it 3 twists. You want it to be pretty snug on there. And then your sign, once you've done that to all 4 of them, or however many you decide to use, your sign is going to be all prepped and ready to go. Now for the wreath frame, for me personally, I like to work off of these frames. You can use work forms, the bigger ones, but today I'm going to be using I got this from Dollar Tree. It has 4 rings on it, and I'm going to be using some Chanel stems to attach on there. So I have 18 that I'm going to be attaching on here. Everyone does kind of do this a little bit differently. You can watch other people and see and figure out which way works best for you, but I found that I prefer the 18 ties on here. I just prefer the way that it looks for one, using up the mesh, and then just overall the fullness of it. So here I took my first Chanel stem, and on the first 2 rings I wrapped it around there. This one's going to go in the center on the top, and you do want to make sure that it's pretty snug. You don't want it to be too tight where you snap your bar, but a good way to check if it is snug enough is if you move it, the Chanel stem really shouldn't move around. Sometimes it does. Just make it a little bit tighter. But see, this one is kind of hard to move, so to me that is tight enough. And then for the next step, this wreath's also for me. I'm not planning on selling this. This one is for me. So yeah, it's, you know, I'm not going to be overly picky about this for myself. And then for the next step, on the bottom 2 rings, you're going to put one on either side of that center one. So in each section, let's see, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections on this wreath frame. You're going to have 3 in each. So I'm going to put 2 on either side of that center one. And just doing the same thing, making sure that it's tight enough. When I first started making wreaths, it was hard for me to get a feel of if the chenille stems, the pipe cleaners, were on tight enough. And sometimes, you know, you don't get them on tight enough, that's fine. You kind of learn how to do it. So you want to give at least 3 twists on them. That should be enough for you. So once you've done that, this is what it should look like. I'm going to go ahead and add that onto each section. Now that I have all my mesh cut, I'm gonna start arranging it. So because my mesh is kind of mismatched or whatever, all of my kind of random meshes that I have, I'm just gonna put those on the inside ring because those are gonna be able to be hidden the most. And then because I only have one of these, I'm gonna put it where I'm gonna put my bow, so that way you're not even gonna see it. The method I'm going to be using today is a ruffle, and I think this is one of the easier methods of putting mesh on. So what you do is, you don't have to do this, but I prefer to, is you're just going to fold over a tiny bit of the edge. That way it helps hide some of the fraying if it does happen. So you're just going to fold it over slightly, and then you're just going to scrunch up your fingers, bringing all the mesh in towards you. And then the mesh should stay curled under, and then when you start to get to the end, just scoot it all the way in, and then it should look like this. I usually do this method. I just think it works the best. I really like this method. And if you have a little fray, just cut it off. And then that's what it should look like. When you're putting in your mesh, do not untie the ties from the frame. You want to leave it attached to the frame, and you're just going to put it down there into the tie, and you're going to hold it the best you can. Keep it as tight as you can, and then you're going to twist 3 times. You can do 2 if you want. I actually open up these once I put my ribbons in. 2 or 3 times is fine. And then that's what it should look like. So I changed my mind. Instead of putting the bow there, I'm actually gonna try to put my sign more over it, just because I kind of like the black mesh better with the orange running through it. So I'm gonna try to keep that one uncovered if I can. I'm gonna attach my sign. I'm gonna go ahead and poke through my chenille stems down to the bottom into the frame. And this is challenging. If this is hard for you, that's normal. It is hard for everyone. Sometimes the mesh just does not want to cooperate, and so it does take a little bit of time. So be patient with yourself. Even the best wreath makers struggle with putting the sign on the wreath. So I'm going to go onto the cross frame and make sure you have it positioned correctly. And you're just gonna give it a good tug and then twist it. You may have to do this a couple times if it's not positioned correctly, and that's all right. Again, I'm gonna poke my chenille stems through, and I'm gonna keep putting on my sign. If I could recommend any tool for a beginner wreath maker, it is a bow maker. I personally like the easy bow maker. I haven't tried the other ones, but I did check the other ones out, and I think for the price and the way it works, I like this one better. The bow dabra is similar, but I like this because it has the measuring on it, and easy bow maker has a new one where this part is actually wider. But I got mine on Amazon, but I know a lot of places, craft stores like Deco Exchange, sell them as well. So for our bow, we're gonna be using two 2.5-inch ribbons. This one's on the roll, but like I said, I had this on. I'm using supplies I had in my stash. So this is off the roll, but this is also a 2.5-inch ribbon. And then, excuse me, we're gonna be using 4 1.5-inch ribbons. Bow tutorial on my YouTube channel, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you again on here. So I'm gonna start with my 2.5-inch ribbon, and I like to pre-lay out the design of my bow, that way I know which one to grab for. Usually I'm not sure how long I want my ribbon tails, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna want shorter tails on this one. So I'm just gonna do a 6-inch tail. So I'm just gonna pinch it right there, and then I'm gonna twist it, and then I'm gonna slip it into the prongs on there. I'm gonna move the tail to one side, and for this one, I'm going to do 5.5-inch loop, one on each side. So 5.5. This is really easy to use. I really like the Easy Bow Maker. I cannot make a bow by hand at all. I have tried and I've watched a lot of videos, but it's my hands. My hands just don't want to cooperate, and that's okay. I don't really care. It doesn't matter if you make a bow by hand or with a bow maker. I just believe that you are as successful as the tools you are given, and I have the tool of a bow maker, so I am going to use that. If that makes my bows look better, then I'm gonna use it. So just do what's best for you. If you can make a bow by hand, that is fantastic. You don't have to spend the money on a bow maker. I unfortunately do. The next ribbon, so what I did also before we go to the next one, I did crisscross the bows in the tail, so make sure you're doing that for each one. I'm gonna make a 6-inch tail for this ribbon as well. I'm gonna twist it, put it into the prongs, and then go to the opposite side. So I have my first tail here, and then I'm gonna go to the opposite side. And then I'm going to make this loop 5 inches. and I'm also going to make one on each side. And then when I put it in, I'm always twisting in the middle. So if you haven't already, check out my TikTok. I have other quick wreath videos on there. I also have craft supplies unboxing. I also have travel videos. I just posted a travel video, a quick video of the trip I took last year to the East Coast. I also have lots of stuff on there. I don't know, my TikTok's full of lots of stuff, really. But I have decorating videos if you want to see my home or my porch decorated. I have those kinds of videos on there as well, so go ahead and check me out on there. And then you can dovetail after you are done making your bow, but I just do it while I'm here. You're just going to fold it in half, and then you're going to cut inward towards the wires, and then that way it will give you a dovetail. Here's the bow so far, and honestly I think that looks so cute. If you just wanted to use a couple ribbons or just one, this would look great. I love it. It's so pretty. You could even just add the black one on top, or even maybe this, and you would be good to go. But I have these ribbons, so I want to use what I have. The next one I'm using is going to be the 1.5, and for this one I'm going to be making a 5.5 inch tail, and then I'm going to be doing a 4.5 inch loop. Here's the bow. The next ribbon is going to be the candy corns, and for this one I'm probably going to make the tail what did I say, 5.5 inches on this one also. So my scissors are getting dull. I think I used it for something and now they feel a little dull because they are not cutting the way they used to. I always try to keep my wreath scissors separate, and I probably accidentally used it for something. Okay, so I'm going to do the 5.5 inch tail, and then I'm going to do this one at 4.5 inch loop, one loop on each side, just like the last one. For this ribbon, I'm going to be doing probably a 4-inch tail, and then I'm going to be doing a 4-inch loop. This is very glittery. I actually just put some lotion on my hand, so it's extra glittery. Here's what the next ribbon looks like. The last ribbon I'm using is this black ribbon. This one is kind of almost like a mesh material. It kind of looks like fish netting maybe, but it's super sparkly. This one's just as glittery. So for this one, I'm going to do I think, let's see. It's about 4.5 inches, but I might cut it a little bit shorter. And then I'm gonna do a 3.5 inch loop for this one. So if you noticed on some of the bow, starting with some of the bow pieces, I have a watermark added onto my video. And just as I was mentioning, I've been having storage issues, so I actually had to stop filming this because I was out of storage again and I just couldn't film it, and you know, I'm just like, this needs to change. So I ended up finding an app which you'll see the watermark for, and so I am trying it out to see if it will work just fine for recording these videos. So fingers crossed that this whole video gets recorded. But if this app does work, I can actually buy or purchase to remove the watermark. It's only a one-time fee, and I think it's only $3, which is, you know, a good you know, price, I would say. But I don't want to pay for it first and then I end up not liking it. I'm not just gonna throw my money away like that. So hopefully in the next video you will see that that watermark's removed. And then again, I am just crisscrossing, alternating the tails and the loops. After this, we're gonna slide it off the bow maker and then zip tie it. Oh, I love it. I love the orange on the black. It's so Halloween traditional. All right, so to take the bow off of the bow maker, you just wanna slide your fingers up underneath the bow between the prongs and carefully and slowly pull your bow up. When it gets close to the top, you want to try to put your fingers over the top of it so you can grip it, and then make sure you're holding it, and then slip it off. And then you will grab your zip tie and then thread it between, it's kind of hard to tell, but between my thumb there is a hole back there between my fingers. So I'm just gonna slip the zip tie between and then fasten it. I'm not gonna fasten it down all the way because I still need to put the Chanel stem, the pipe cleaner, onto there. But just fasten it down a little, and then hopefully it won't move around on you. And then you're gonna slide the zip or the pipe cleaner underneath there, and then you'll just tighten it all the way. And then cut off the extra on the zip tie, and then you can start to fluff the bow. You can start from the bottom or the top. You're gonna need to refluff it once it's on the bow, on the wreath, regardless. So all I'm doing is just putting, for the tails, just kind of grip it and then pull your thumb and arch it over your index finger. It should give a nice arch. And then for the loops, you can just slip your index finger and your middle finger in there and then kind of separate the loops. You'll probably have to do it a couple times, but just kind of open it. You just want to open up the loop as much as you can. And then you can even press down on the top of the loop if you need to get more roundness, I guess. But again, once you get it on your wreath, it will, you can, you know, use your judgment of how it needs to look. But you can definitely fluff bows for a long time. So this is going to be, like I said, my last fall, Halloween, autumn wreath. My next video is going to be Christmas. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet. I have quite a few. I think I have like 10 wreaths I'm making this season, not too many. I mean, it is a lot, but compared to what other wreath makers make, it is a pretty small scale amount of wreaths. And hopefully I get to them all. With the way things have been going lately, I don't know. We'll see. Alright, there's the bow all fluffed out. I really love the black and the orange together. That just looks so good. And I think even the pumpkin ribbon and this orange and then these two top ones I think could have worked just fine together. But because my sign had some candy corns in it, I really wanted to use the candy corn on it. So I got the bow attached onto the wreath. This is how it's looking. I did end up cutting this tail just because it was a little bit too long. And then without even realizing it, I ended up getting all the jack-o'-lanterns facing the right direction. So that was a plus. I didn't have to go in and flip them around or redo it. So that was an added bonus. Now that the bow's on, I'm gonna get started on the ribbon tails. I always like to do my sign and my bow first, just so I don't end up cutting too much ribbon tails. And even if I do it this way, sometimes I still end up cutting too much, but it's all right. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on that. So for the ribbon tails, I'm gonna use these two together. I'm gonna add them on with, or actually I'm gonna do this one with this one, and then for the ones that I didn't do, include the 2.5 width, I'm just gonna do these two together. And then also I decided to move some of the mesh around. I just felt like this side was too orange and all the black was kind of over here, so I just switched this piece. There was a black piece right there, I just moved it over here. Now I think it kind of fills the black around a little bit more. I mean, I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell once it's on. I mean, it does look a little bit more orangey over here now, but I could always shift the bow down if I want to. But again, I mean, it's mine. It's not that big of a deal. For my ribbon tails, I did 12 inches. And the way that I cut them, actually, you can buy ribbon tail makers, but I just haven't gotten around to buying one. I just have some cardboard that I literally just cut off a box or whatever, and then you just wrap it around however many you need. So once you do that, you'll just slide it off and then cut, and then you can dovetail it. Here's the wreath all finished and put up on the door. And then here's a quick, whoop, stepped on the dog. Here's a quick look at the porch. Thank you so much for watching today. I truly appreciate everyone who likes and subscribes to my videos and comments. I truly appreciate you. Thanks so much for watching.